Hello guys, welcome back to our channel. So in this video we'll discuss how to build a simple stock scanner using AngelOne SmartAPI. So today we'll discuss about one particular strategy called Inside Candle, and then we'll also see how to automate this particular strategy so that you would just get the complete list of all the stocks which would basically meet this particular criteria. So there's just an example for you to build your scanner, so you could just incorporate your conditions based on your strategies, our entry point could be once the high of the mother candle breaks out. So here, as you can see, set of instructions are using this your stop loss could be the low of your coming to this strategy child candle. So here, as you can see, let's say even if I have one basically gone long bullish or a bearish candle followed by a small candle. So inside candle, as the name suggests, the candle high and the low should be between the range of the previous candle high and low. So as you can see in simple words is also, and we could, the first candle is also called a mother candle, and the second one is candle can be called as an, so here as you can see it as child candle. So as you can see the high and low are completely in between the high and low of the previous candle. So that's a simple way. So this particular strategy can be used at resistance levels or at support levels, and it could also be used to trade in that particular direction of the previous trend. So here, as you could see here, we could see one inside candle being formed on the daily time frame, so wherein the high and low of this particular candle is completely well within this particular range of this candle. So this two pair would be considered as an inside candle. The entry point for this particular strategy could be once the high or once the low of the mother candle is breakout or breakdown, and the stop loss could be the obvious low or high of the mother candle. And let's say if the candle is so huge, like let's say if you look at this particular day candle, so it's a huge red candle, and even the falling candle is an inside candle. And considering this, if I'm just taking in position after this particular inside candle pair, then my stop loss would be somewhere over here. So since the stop loss is too huge, so we could try to target the stop loss at 50% of the bigger candle. So that's something how we can just trade using this particular strategy. And let's say if I go long over here, once the high of the mother candle is broken, and I could always consider the low as the stop loss. And if we consider this particular upper trend, so as you can see we are meeting almost 1:2 ratio for risk reward ratio. So using this strategy we could target for 1:1 or 1:2 risk reward ratio with respect to the target and the stop loss. And as I mentioned, so if the candle is too huge, so we could try to limit the stop loss and try to move it to 50% of the mother candle. So let's move now into my Jupyter notebook to try to see how to implement this particular strategy in a daily time frame. So the idea is to build a scanner. Maybe you could just do it for all the stocks. So I have built the scanner for F&O stocks. So wherein at the end of the day, I just want a list of all the stocks wherein an inside candle has been formed, so that I could just decide upon some potential trades for the next day. So coming to my Jupyter notebook, so I have login, and I did the account setup for AngelOne using the SmartAPI library. So for that information, you could just check out my previous videos. And here, as you could see, I just define one particular function to log in using the TOTP, and I've already declared all my user IDs and the passwords. And as you could see, this is the URL to basically get the list of all the tradable instruments from AngelOne. So since we need to get the candle data, so we'll be using the historical API from SmartAPI. So for that we would obviously need the token number, right? So our idea is to just get the list of all the F&O stocks, try to get the token number out of it, and iterate the conditions over all these tokens. So as you could see here, so here I'm just getting the complete list of all the tradable instruments, and in that, as I mentioned, I'm only interested in the F&O segment stocks. So here, as you can see, I'm just looking for the segment NFO and in the futures. And FNO symbol, so I'm just making it unique so that if I look at the NFO category and in the futures, so we would basically having three instruments or basically the three months of the futures that I could trade in. So, but I'm interested only in the equity segment, so I'm just searching for the symbols which end with EQ and which are also present in this FNO symbol list. So let's say if I run this and if I just want to get the list of all the NFO stocks. So here as you could see I have 198 companies or 198 stocks that I could trade in the FNO segment. So in the next step we'll try to write an for loop so where I could just iterate my conditions for this entire list of NFO stocks. So to play around with the stocks and to also get the list of all the tradable instruments, so I've already discussed it in my previous videos, so you could just check them out and try to play around with the tradable instruments, and then you could just iterate these conditions over any of your stocks that you are interested in. But the main idea is only to get the token number so that you could feed it to the historical API and you could get the data from the smart API. So here, since we already have the list of all the NFO stocks, so the next step is we'll go into our conditions. So here I'm also using the date time library from Python so that I could just do it in a generic way so that I could just get the today's date and then calculate the candle data for the previous 2-3 days and try to see if it meets a particular criteria. So here as you can see I'm also made the code a little generic. So here as you could see if today date dot weekday equal to 0. So it's checking for Mondays. So since if it is a Monday then my previous day would be Friday, right? The Friday trading day. So that's why the delta time would be 3. And let's say if it is a Sunday then I'm considering the delta time to be 2. So basically I need 2 days of candle. So one is yesterday and the previous 2 days candle information to basically uh, configure this particular strategy. So here I am already defining a one particular function to get the previous 2-day candle data. So here I'm just getting the data from the previous 2 days from 9 a.m. to the previous day till the end of the market day. So based on this two information, I can always try to get the information of the stocks. I could run this function just to see how it works. So previous 2-day data of the token number, comma, smart API. So smart API is basically the object which I just created. So here as you can see it returns me the data for 19th and 20th. So since today is a Sunday and 22nd, so I'm interested only in the two trading days, which is basically the 19th and the 20th. And so that's how the 2-day information candle works. So likewise, you could just play around with this and you could just build a custom scanner and you can try to get your candle information. And likewise, you could also build an intraday strategy as well. So once the candle is closed, you always have the historical data of the previous candle, maybe in 15 minutes or 5 minutes. So you could also try to customize your scanner for intraday scanners as well. And coming to the scanner, so here as you can see, I'm just logging in into the Angel and it creates an object with the name Smart API. And here I'm just iterating the for loop for the complete NFO stocks. So for IN range of the NFO index. So here I'm just trying to get the token and I'm also trying to get the symbol out of it so that I could just appending my list based if the conditions, if the particular criteria is met for that particular stock. So previous 2-day data, I'm just trying to use the same function which I just called just above. So I'm just feeding the token for each NFO stock and then I'm trying to get the candle data. And as you can see, this is how the candle data looks like. You have the timestamp, you have the open, high, low, close, followed by the volume. So here as you can see, you have the timestamp, you have the open, high, low, close, and the volume candle. And here, so this is where my condition comes. So since we are talking about the high and the low of the previous candle compared to the previous candle. So this is how my data looks like. So let's say if I just name it as candle equal to, and let's see what the candle information contains. So here, as you can see, this is how it looks like. It also contains the status, messages, error code, and the data. And in that, we are interested only in the data, candle data. So printing this candle of data, it just returns me the candle information of the first two candles. And let's say I'm interested in the first candle information. So if I just give the index as 0, so I get the complete 0th candle information. And this again is a list, so I could just indexing based on the value that I'm interested in. So since we're talking only about the high and the low, so the high would be, so since this is timestamp, open high, so 0, 1, 2. So this would basically give me the high of the first candle. And if you want to know the low value, then 0 out of 3, it gives you the low of the first candle. So this is how my condition is written. So basically if the high is less than the previous 2-day high and the low is obviously greater than the previous 2-day close, then I'm just appending it to my list. And here, as you can see, I just implemented a small counter because of the rate limits which are implemented in the Smart API. So basically, you could send an HTTPS request for the to get the candle data 3 times in 1 second. So that's why I'm just implementing a small counter. So once the counter value or once my requests are basically 3 times it is sent, so I'm just sleeping it for 1 second. So since the rate limit so is 3 per 1 second, so you could get that information in the API documentation as well. So here you could get to the rate limit, and here as you can see the get candle data. So the rate limit is basically 3 requests per second. So that's what I'm doing over here. So I'm just requesting it thrice, and then once the 3 counter is increased to 3, then I'm just letting it to sleep for 1 second so that I could just I could send the request for the next candle data. So this is how it is implemented. So I could just scan the stocks, and I could just get the list of all the stocks which basically meet this particular criteria. So here, as you can see, the complete for loop is executed, and here I get the complete list of all the stocks which meet this particular criteria. So as you can see, the first symbol it returns is the ABB, and let's just confirm it by checking it in the trading view. So ABB. So here, as you can see, in the daily time frame, we see some nice inside candle being formed in the ABB stock. So wherein, as you can see, this is the mother candle, and this particular inside candle is completely inside the particular mother candle. And let's also check it Bandhan Bank. So even here, as you can see, this is the mother candle, and the complete high and low are well within the high and low of the mother candle. So you could also try to tune this particular strategy further, wherein if you want this particular mother candle to be very bullish or very bearish, so that you can also write that maybe the close is 1% above the low or 2% above the low. So if you're looking for a very huge candle, like maybe something of this sort, so that you could go with the trend. So those also something conditions which you could just write up in this particular scanner and just get the complete list of all the stocks. So since it's an end of day scanner, so I'm just writing it in a for loop, and to scan it for 200 stocks, and with the time delay of 1 second for each 3 requests, so it took me around 100 seconds to get the list of all the stocks. But if you're working on some intraday strategy wherein you want to get the list immediately, then I would just suggest you to do with some other techniques instead of a for loop. So just to keep it simple, since it's an end of day scanner, I just went with a for loop. or maybe if you're looking at for an intraday strategy, I think you could look at multi-threading strategies, sorry, multi-threading techniques wherein you could, run this particular loop simultaneously and try to get the results as fast as possible. Yes, so this just to give you an example on how you can build your custom scanner. So the same you could just scale it up based on your strategy, based on your conditions that you could like to get the data if it meets your particular entry conditions. So that's all from my side. Thank you all.